lifting up Jesus, opening His Word from Australia, Denmark, Israel, Japan, New Zealand, Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, Singapore, South Africa, United Kingdom, Thailand, the Philippines, United States, and throughout the world. You're watching Moriel TV.
This dig season, I traveled to 5 different biblical sites within the borders of ancient Israel to ask archaeologists a simple question. In their excavation work, do they use the Bible as a tool? The first stop is the ancient city of Gezer to visit with dig director Dr. Stephen Ortiz. Do you use the Bible as a tool in your archaeology here at Gezer?
Yes, we use the Bible as a tool. The Bible mentions Tal Gezer a lot, and so we use the Bible to help us reconstruct the history. So we use the Bible and we use the archaeology to reconstruct what happened here.
Jericho is famous as the biblical city where the walls came tumbling down. I stopped there to visit with archaeologist Dr. Titus Kennedy.
In the book of Joshua, it says the Israelites destroyed Jericho and they burned the city. Right here we can see some of the toppled mud brick wall and clear evidence of a fire destruction.
So Dr. Kennedy, do you use the Bible as a tool in your archaeology?
Yes, I do. I find it extremely useful in not only locating sites, but helping us understand the historical record better.
The largest ancient site in all the land of Israel is Hatzor, where I asked longtime dig director Dr. Amnon Bentor how important the Bible is to biblical archaeology.
Taking away the Bible from archaeology in this part of the world between the 10th and the 6th century is depriving archaeology of its soul. You are left with nothing. You are left with a lot. You are left with walls, you are left with stratigraphy, you are left with finds, but the soul is missing.
Next up was Dr. Aaron Mayer, who is the dig director at Gath, the hometown of Goliath. Do you use the Bible as a tool in your archaeology?
The biblical text is an important source for learning about the ancient land of Israel in biblical times.
Archaeologist Jeff Chadwick has served as an area supervisor at Gath for 15 years.
Of course, we use the Bible to try and understand what happened here. If we didn't have these written records, we would have a lot harder time understanding what it is we find.
In Jerusalem, excavations are currently being conducted by archaeologist Dr. Shimon Gibson. Do you use the Bible as a tool in your archaeology?
The Bible can be illuminated by archaeology, there's no doubt about it. When you're excavating a place like this, which is referred to in the sources as the upper city, and when you come down on remains which date from the time of King Hezekiah, who's mentioned in the Old Testament, then it all comes alive.
There is no question that the Bible is an important tool in archaeology. This is evident in the reality that archaeologists who excavate biblical places and periods, whether they are religious or secular, use the Bible as a tool in their archaeological work.
Hi, this is Tim from Moriel TV and Moriel Radio here live in California with Jacob Prasch, Jacob, our good brother Andy over in Nottingham, had the question, do the Jewish leaders of today, both political and religious, know where the Ark of the Covenant is? Will it reemerge for the building of the third temple? And what would the role of the Ark be during the tribulation and the millennium, should it still exist? Thank you for taking the time. Yours sincerely, Andy Harrison.
There are certain ultra-Orthodox rabbis who claim the Ark of the Covenant is hidden underneath the Temple Mount, deeply embedded beneath the bedrock. They claim that. They think it is close to the dedication stone of the temple, which would have placed the Holy of Holies not where the Mosque of Omar is, but about 70 meters north of it, where the Dome of the Spirits is. And some ultra-Orthodox rabbis, bearing in mind these are Kabbalists, these are mystical rabbis who practice the occult, believe they know where it is, there somewhere. There is a theory that the Ark will be rediscovered and create the impetus to rebuild the temple. Because it is covered with gold, a hardwood covered with gold, and gold does not oxidize, that would be a preserving element in their thinking, which has some scientific merit, but over that period of time, although the gold might not oxidize, I think the acacia would not in some way have a decay of the carbon. Well, this is quite a question and quite an issue. Nonetheless, there is another view. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church, which is related to the Coptic Church, combines Coptic Christianity, similar to what you have in Egypt and in Sudan. It combines Coptic Christianity with Judaism. Their belief being that Haile Selassie was the descendant of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, that the Queen of Sheba and Solomon had children, and from that bloodline came Haile Selassie. The Rastafarian cult, of course, takes this even further beyond anything Haile Selassie believed or that the Ethiopian Orthodox Church teaches. But they had multiple models of the Holy Ark. The theory was that in the days of Jeremiah, before Nebuchadnezzar destroyed the temple, the Ark was taken to Ethiopia, to the area of Lake Tana, where the Falashes, the black African Jews, came from. And it's hidden in a cave underneath a small chapel, where there's one monk who lives in that chapel, and it's hidden underneath it. This is the belief of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, that they actually have it. And you can see at certain times of the year, 10,000 women with candles kneeling down outside in front of this chapel. That is their belief. Now again, there are multiple models, replicas of the Ark of the Covenant in churches in, perhaps not Addis Ababa so much, but certainly in northern Ethiopia. They are there around Lake Tana, and it is a belief of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, which again is a combination of Coptic belief and Judaism. Now, what is proposed is there'll be an archaeological excavation of the area underneath that chapel. The true Ark will be recovered and taken to Israel. That is a belief that some people have had, but it is all highly speculative. Nobody knows where that Ark is. Now let me explain why in part. In the second temple, the Ark was not there. The Ark was not there. And one of the reasons in the days of Ezra and Nehemiah, the people who were old enough to remember the first temple, the Babylonians had destroyed, when they returned under the Persians 70 years later, in accordance with the prophecies of Jeremiah and Isaiah and so forth, when they came back, they didn't have the Ark inside the Holy of Holies. Yet there was a divine promise that the glory of the second temple would exceed the first. Well, how could that happen without the ark? The divine presence was not there. The Shekinah would not come down. The ark was not there. The only way that that could happen was if the Messiah came and entered the second temple, and if he was God. If the Messiah came and he was God, that is the only way the glory of the second can eclipse that of the first. This also relates to the prophecies of Ezekiel chapter 44, verse 1 concerning the East Gate. We have a teaching on the East Gate available through our website. So it was not there. Now, the gold of the ark, a non-oxidizing metal, corresponds to the deity of Christ. The wood, which was carbon, corresponds to his humanity. He was not half God and half man. He was fully human and fully divine, the gold and the wood. The lid of the ark was the mercy seat. It corresponds to the throne of grace. It covers the law with the Torah tablets, the Decalogue inside of it, and then the Shekinah would come down. As God, Jesus can be omnipresent. He can be in heaven and on earth simultaneously. He can be in Australia, the United States, and Israel simultaneously. He can be in Europe and Latin America simultaneously. He can be in Africa and in the Arctic simultaneously. On heaven and earth, whatever he wants to do as God, he can be omnipresent by his Spirit and so forth. But once God became a man, once the kenosis took place, as taught in Philippians chapter 2, he came in the likeness of sinful flesh, even though he had no sin himself. He took ours. He was then limited to time and space as we are. So, in other words, the absence of the ark from the second temple did not only remind them of the sin of their forefathers, but its absence meant that the Messiah had to come into the second temple and he had to be God. Jesus, becoming God incarnate, he was always God, but he became incarnated. In eternity was God, but once he became incarnated, he could not be in the Holy of Holies in the ark and out in Solomon's portico teaching his disciples simultaneously. He could not be omnipresent. He could not be bilocational or multilocational or trilocational. He could not be in two places at once. Therefore, the ark could not be in the second temple. It could only be in the first, because Christ himself, God who became a man, would enter that temple. But once he became a man, he temporarily limits himself to the same restrictions we have and can only be in one place at one time. He could not be in the Holy of Holies and in Solomon's portico at the same time, concurrently doing two different things in two different locations simultaneously. Thus, the ark could not be there. It had to be removed. Where it went, we have no proof. We know what the mystical rabbis say. We know what certain persons in the Ethiopian Orthodox Church say. Archaeologists do not know. Do not know. Steven Spielberg made a fantasy movie concerning it. Raiders of the Lost Ark, of course. But nobody actually knows. That is where matters stand. Those are the theories. Those are the realities, both theological, archaeological, and historical. I hope this clarifies matters. Thank you for your question. My name is Jacob Prasch. God bless to all of our friends in Nottingham.
Blessings, dear friends. Greetings in Jesus. This is your friend Jacob Prasch speaking to you at the moment from the UK. You know, so many of the questions we get in our Roku broadcast and on our Vimeo clips and on YouTube deal with subjects that we deal with much more extensively in our books. We can't, for the sake of brevity, go into the kind of depth in a TV broadcast we can actually go into in a book. But so many of the questions come from material that are expounded in the books on a much more broader scale that it's almost frustrating sometimes that we can't spend hours and hours answering the questions that are given to us. Obviously, practicality dictates that's not a possibility. The books are there. They're available. They're available in print through the Moriel catalog on the Moriel website, moriel.org. But in this day of Kindle and electronic books, they're also available through Amazon, and they're available through Kindle. The three books that would be the most referred to in the questions we receive are the three latest books. The first being The Dilemma of Laodicea. The Dilemma of Laodicea. It's an exposition of the seven churches in Revelation, culminating with the final two churches, Philadelphia and Laodicea particularly, setting the stage for the return of Jesus. The Dilemma of Laodicea would be the first. The second would be Shadows of the Beast. Shadows of the Beast. How the coming Antichrist, how his identity will be revealed to the faithful church. The rapture will not happen. Will not happen, absolutely not happen, until the faithful church knows who the ultimate beast of Revelation is. That is the Antichrist and also the false prophet. How the identity of the coming Antichrist will be revealed to the faithful church. Shadows of the Beast, the second book. And the final and latest one, Harpazo. Harpazo. What the scripture actually teaches about the rapture, the snatching away which takes place between the sixth and seventh seals in the book of Revelation. So these three books, The Dilemma of Laodicea, Shadows of the Beast, and Harpazo, all available on the Moriel catalog, all available through Amazon, and all easily available electronically by Kindle. Thank you so much, dear friends. God bless. May Jesus be with you.